Good morning, everyone. So today we're talking about all things about radiators for my 1939 John Deere A. Alright, so a few notes here on the radiator. There are 4 parts. You got your bottom, top, sides. I didn't take a video of taking this apart because it's just a matter of unbolting the thing. You've got 2 gaskets that you can order for the top and bottom. I got a new core for this. That is a story in and of itself. So apparently the 39 and 40 radiator cores are unique. I ordered that. Be sure when you do these to do a dry fit up first, because I was dumb enough to just think, oh, it'll bolt together. I had that happen before, it worked great, and that did not fit up at all. I had to drill a lot of the holes and things out. They just, I don't know what was going on there. You can get a bolt kit. So this will be specific for the radiator. It has all your square heads and square nuts and things. Yeah, and you've got your little flange pieces. So if you want to take pity on the next fool to do this job, get some anti-seize. I've got some gasket maker, and this is just to kind of fill in the porous surface, not porous, but rough surface here. I'm not trying to use it as an actual gasket sealer. That's what the gasket is for, but some of this old cast iron is a little rough, so that'll help fill it in a little bit. What else? Yeah, when you do go to take this apart, so these are all bolts down here, but you'll see anytime we use an actual bolt, odds are they can get seized in the radiator. So when you go to take them out, they'll break. Sometimes you got to add a little heat. I think a couple of like these broke when coming out. I put a little heat on it and vice grips, and it came out. I got lucky. I did break a couple of the studs here in the top. I guess it was just one. So yeah, I had to drill out that hole, put a new stud in it. The studs come with the bolt kit. But I don't do any more than I have to on that, so I left all the others since they seem just fine. While I had it apart, I was going to put it together without painting it, and then after the issues with the core and having to take it all back apart and clean it all up again, I was like, well, I might as well paint it. That way what's on the inside towards the core is at least painted. That was kind of my main focus. And I don't know, I was afraid it looked too stupid, even though I'm doing that with other pieces, of having parts of it painted, like the block where I painted underneath, but not the rest of it. Yeah, so alright, well, we'll go ahead and get this together. I'm gonna put some gasket maker on here, just kind of this part, and put the gasket on and get the core seated on. Alright, so you can see I got the gasket maker on here, and again, this is about as thin as I could get it. Although you see all blue, it's really just a super thin layer. We'll put our first gasket on here, and we'll kind of line that up. Of course, there we go. Maybe there, that's better. Let's say I dry fit the core, and it seemed like the first time I did it, the gasket was okay. There we go. Line that up there. And then, so so that gets held, we're going to put on one forward and one back here. You can kind of tell what ones were originally on bottom because they're the most rusted, because that's where the water sits. So I'll go ahead and put, might even, one of these I had to drill out, I got to see. So I'll put one each here and a bolt here to kind of hold this core, and then we'll start putting the sides on. Alright, so I got front and back, two of these in place for now. On the corners here, so these two corners and what will be those two corners over there are your, shoot, I forget what it said these are. I think 3/8, 1 1/4. Now, these ones on the inside are a little weird. I haven't quite figured out why, but it says the square bolts are the front hole for this with a square nut. So there's bigger square nuts that go with these. Then it also says 1 1/4 for here. So I gotta put a little never sees. Dabble a little bit on there. So apparently that goes there. My only thing with that is, yeah, it's really not much thread sticking through, but it's what it says. It's nothing thread to bite. And so yeah, I'm gonna wait to put all these in. I'm not tightening anything up after the issues I had putting this together originally. So I'm gonna do everything loose and then hopefully cinch everything down. So I'll get this bolt on the front, and we'll get that side piece in over there. Alright, so we got those two side pieces loosely in there. I'm going to put gasket maker again on here. This is the one that's really rough. The bottom wasn't too bad, but this top one is kind of gnarly. So yeah, I went ahead and painted this like I said, and I always joke to people. I painted most of my bee myself, and I hated it. I'm not a painter. I don't have the patience for it. I'm a perfectionist too. So I always joke to people I need to find a friend that needs mechanical work and is a good painter that I can exchange work with, because I hate painting. I like the looks of painted up tractors, of course, but like this I think I'll eventually pay someone to paint it up when I'm ready, because yeah, I just don't want to do that again. On another note on my bee, so you know it's kind of been sitting for years, the guy I sent the sheet metal to is finally working on it. So who knows, next few months might have something on the old bee again, because that tractor I went through and through also. That tractor never should have been saved, really. I've got more replaced parts on it than what's original to it. So that was a expensive, hard lesson to learn. And yeah. So we'll get the rest of this on here, and I'm working on also getting the block on. I'll have another video, not the block, the head on. I'll have a video on that soon. And we're getting much closer to having this tractor back together. I still got to put the fan shaft on. Oh, one of my viewers, sorry I didn't look up his name right now, was kind enough to point out that in my fan shaft video, it looks like I put the fan on the wrong direction. You know, the fan that was on it could only go on one way, the way that rubber mount worked. That is not the case for the later fans. They do have a little bit of a direction to them. And of course, my old advisor at work said it's the 50-50-90 rule. You got a 50-50 shot of getting it right, you get it wrong 90% of the time. So that's not too big of a deal to just take those clips out, put the carpenter clamps on it again, and switch that fan around. Honestly, it probably wouldn't matter too much. It's not like it's gonna change the direction of the air the way it works. I don't think. So, alright, may need a little more goop here. And you won't see it the way I have the camera zoomed in, so I'll go ahead and get this top piece on. Of course, you gotta line up the studs first, all the other holes, and just, plop it on there. I was pretty disappointed. I mean, I didn't get to go to Classic Green or really any shows this year. I was never planning on going to Classic Green reunion in Tennessee. I mean, I knew it was right around the due date for my wife, and heck, turns out what it was like. Ended up being 2 weeks after she was born. And so didn't get to go. Like I said, I wasn't planning on going, but then of course, everyone posting videos, they were going on Facebook and things like that, and it was hard to miss it. And there was also like a National Threshers show in Ohio, but same thing, didn't get to go to that. That one was much closer, only about 4 hours, but still got too much going on. Okay, so really about the same thing here. Your corner bolts, or your, whatever size these are, the 3/8. Kind of get this lined up. It's kind of this is where I mainly had issues before. I got the bottom somewhat to work, and then went to put the top in, and that was just a no dice situation. This piece kind of gets lined up anyway through this stud here. And there we go. Got that side lined up. And then we'll go over to this side, and like I said before, you have one of these. I had to offset the hole because I couldn't get that one-do stud right. So then this will go up here, and then you have just nuts that go on here. And again, don't forget the never sees. I think you've been seeing me do it. Might just help someone in the future. Alright, so I'm not sure if I said the wrong thing, or if I even said it at all. These ones on the back of the radiator on the top here just take regular nuts. And then, what was below are these short square head bolts. And those are what go up on the top. Now on the front, it's not studded like this. It actually has bolts that go up in. So these same bolts go up into the front. And then there isn't a stud on the front. It's a 3/8 or 5/16 bolt that goes up into that corner. So I'll show you that in a minute. I think everything's lined up though, so I'll go ahead and tighten everything down, and we'll give it a final look. Alright guys, let's do a summary of the bolts here. So you've got your kind of larger size square head bolt here and a larger square nut. I think that is 3/8. You've got your 1/4 inch bolts and nuts going down the bottom here. Same thing, larger 3/8 square, or yeah, it might be 5/16, I don't know. And big nut down here. And on all of your outer corners, you have your 8 bolts, standard bolts. When you go to put this together, make sure you've got your side so that your fan shroud is towards the back of the radiator, of course. You can reverse these, I think. So then under here, you've got a bigger nut. Let's see here, maybe. Aha, let there be light. Bigger nut. You've got your small nuts all the way down. And again, on top, you have your big nuts, and that goes for the bottom. Going over to the front, for some reason, these are the really long bolts, square bolts. Not sure why. You've got your same tiny bolts and nuts here. Another long bolt. And then these bolts here were the square head, but they were only like 1 1/8 inches versus the ones that I used on the bottom were like 1 1/4 inches for some reason. And then these bolts here are the same bolts as here, but they're threading into your top piece. Maybe a word to the wise. I wish I would have cleaned those internal threaded holes out before. A couple of these went in kind of tough, and this one snapped, and I think that one snapped. They're still in there, they're still holding, like they're not free or anything, so I'm not sure what snapped. I don't even want to think that it's something inside. It seemed like the bolt, but yeah, so don't torque those too much. When I go to put the tractor in, we've got the overfill tube here that goes on. There's a rubber bushing that goes in there, and then the pipe. If you have shutters, they bolt on here. There's a hole there, and oh yeah, that bolt broke off, and that hole there is filled in. Anyway, so yeah, I laid it on its side so that it was more stable. Of course, it's top heavy. And there you have it. All right, 1939 John Deere A Radiator, complete and ready to put back on the tractor. So yeah, we'll see what else we can get into. Like I said, hopefully get that engine together soon. And I don't know, we'll see when we can get this tractor running again. See you all later.